Welcome to Top Sports Talk, presented by Top Sports News. I am your co-host once again, Caleb Jenneret. Next to me is Isaac Deer, and we are back for the first review for the football. So this week was crazy. Football, just week one, just out of this park, just blew it away. Couldn't ask for anything better. But before we get to football, Isaac is going to go over some soccer and some golf highlights real quick.
Yeah, so it was a busy week with soccer. Washburn Rural had a pretty solid week. They went 3-0 on the league on the week. Took some non-league victories to kick off the year. 7-1 win over Cape and Mount Carmel. 3-1 win over Shawnee Heights. That gave them the 2-0 start, and then they won on Thursday night against Wichita Northwest to give them a 3-0 start. Easton Bradstreet, who's a forward for Washburn Rural, had a pretty memorable 3-game stretch. I think he'll remember it for a long time. He had 4 goals against Capen with that was insane to start. That was the first game of the year too, so that was a great start for him to get 4 goals out of the gate. He had 2 goals against Wichita Northwest and 1 against Shawnee Heights. Griffin Heinen the other day, he had the game-winning goals in the second overtime to give them a win, a big road win last Thursday, because Wichita's right down the road. It's not. It's really, but it was a long road trip for him, and I think that's going to be the theme for most of the Centennial League's teams this year, which we'll kind of get to later. But Washburn Rural started off 3-0. They were the only city and I guess county team to start off their season undefeated. You go to Topeka High. They had a really tough 7-1 loss against Lawrence High last Tuesday, but they avenged it with a 3-2 win over Hayden on Thursday night. Chris Brown, who was kind of a standout freshman last year, super quick guy, he's just a game changer overall. Love to have Chris Brown on my team. He scored 2 first half goals against Hayden the other night on Thursday night, and that's all that Topeka High really needed to get the 3-2 win. Thursday night was kind of crazy because behind me in the press box was the Topeka High Hayden soccer game, so I was looking behind. Then I was looking in front with Topeka West Seaman football game. It was always on the move. My head was on a swivel, but great effort by Topeka High to get to start off the season 1-1 after having that really tough loss against Lawrence High. And then Hayden went 1-1 as well. As I just mentioned, they took that loss to Topeka High, and the efforts from Chris Brown didn't make anything easier for them. But they had a 2-1 victory over Topeka West to start off the season. So it was a good start for them. They did have a tough loss against Topeka High, as mentioned, but they're in pretty good shape. I was pretty impressed by Hayden's backline. Hayden's backline looked great. And I think they'll be fine going forward. Shawnee Heights had a tough slate of games. They start off the season 0-2-1. Shawnee Heights really hung close with 2 soccer powerhouses with Washburn Rural, and as I just mentioned, Lawrence High. They lost they lost to Lawrence High 3-2, and then they lost to Washburn Rural 3-1. But they would kind of end their losing skid in the way last Thursday night against Shawnee Mission North. They ended in a 1-1 draw. Zach Memmer, he had the goal to in the first half to make it a draw, but after that there was just no scoring in the second half. It was a low scoring game. Defensive effort was great, and I want to end off on Seaman, who ended up 0-2 on the week. A really, really tough 1-0 loss to Emporia that came down to the last 14 minutes of the second half. But Aiden Thompson, the goalkeeper for Seaman, had a really impressive day then. And then they come back 2 days later on Thursday night and lose to a Manhattan team 3-0. And that Manhattan team won 7-1 the night before. So Manhattan looks really good. Seaman's really young. They're working on it. I know Coach Tim Nussbaum, he's pretty confident in the group that he has. But Seaman just couldn't get the offense going in the first couple of games. If I could segue to golf real quick, before we, get to all the football stuff. Golf, Seaman senior Lois Dieter, she's fantastic. She shot a 77 the other day to win the Emporia Invitational last Tuesday. That 77 was I think one stroke. That was good enough. Lois Dieter is a standout and notably one of the best golfers in the city. So she starts off the year with a bang with a win at the Invite in Emporia. Seaman overall had a really good day. Avery Samuelson, she finished in the top 10 with a 91, and then right behind her, freshman Izzy Glotzback, she finished with a 92 in 11th place. So you get a first place, a 10th place, and 11th place. That's a pretty good start for Seaman. But yeah, that's kind of the rundown on the prep sports around the city. We'll get to cross country and volleyball a little bit more on our next episode. We just, the information's a little limited right now, and unfortunately we can't be everywhere at once, but we'll make sure we have the information kind of on deck next time. But for the most part, I mean, it seems like all the city schools are doing great. Washburn Rural volleyball is going to be, as solid as usual. They'll have a tough matchup against St. Thomas Aquinas this Thursday. That'll be kind of a marquee matchup. I think everybody's pretty excited for. And like I said, we'll get, we're getting used to this. This is new stuff for us. So, but yeah, that's just kind of the rundown on everything else that's going on.
Yeah, and as Isaac mentioned, we can't be everywhere at once, which is going to show in our football preview and reviews, because I think total we are at 4 games. I think we're at 4 games this week. So we have scores for all the other games, but we don't have the full analysis that we could bring as we were at these other games. So before we start, we want to always thank our gold sponsors, Invista Credit Union and the Family Guidance Center, for continuing to sponsor Top Sports News. But with that, I just want to get into football. This week was insane. 2 streaks ended that we'll get into, and just powerhouses showing up. Games were crazy. We're just gonna talk about it all, and I'm so excited. I want to start with Care Paravel. So Care Paravel played 8-man powerhouse Axtell in week 1. The final score was 82-38, but I do believe at one point Care Paravel was actually up 32-30 before Axtell really got going and scored about 52 points in that last little bit. But I think with Care Paravel, you can't be you can be disappointed in the score, but you can't be disappointed in the outcome. You were up on a good team. This is your first Keisha game. I don't know what you really were expecting. Obviously, every player and every coach wants to win, but you got to look at it from an outside perspective. And I think this you can take some building blocks from this, and you can build on this throughout the season.
Right. And I their first game ever a part of Keisha, you get thrown to the wolves right away, right? You get the defending state champion Axtell. If you can hang with Axtell for 3 quarters, it's not a discredit to Care Paravel or anything, because they could still have a great year. But yeah, that was their first loss in a while too, because they went undefeated last year. So that could have been a good wake up call for them. But like, yeah, you said it best. Is like, it's like you can be disappointed in the score. I mean, obviously 82-38 with 50 plus points allowed in the second half. That's not great, but Axtell is that top tier of teams in that division, that 8-man Division 2. They're tough. They're stacked. So they got new pieces on the roster, new quarterback, new tight end, new defensive pieces as well that they're trying to intricate. But yeah, no, it was, I was pretty pleased with what I saw statistically from Care Paravel. They just need to kind of get the defense going. But like I said, you get thrown number 1 right away. You can only go up from there. So right. I think that's the way Care Paravel should look at things. All you can do is go up. So we'll keep an eye on them. But yeah, it was a good effort for 3 quarters, and it was probably a good effort for 4. We weren't there, but it seems like that Care Paravel is kind of going in the right direction.
Yeah. So moving on next to Hayden. Hayden beat Opie 21-7. This is a game that I was lucky enough to be at least for the first half. And then I moved over to the Highland Park game, which we'll get to next. But Hayden and Opie played really close until 30 seconds left in the first half. It was a 0-0 ball game. And then Hayden broke off I think like a 30-yard run to go up 7-0. But Opie was playing him tough, man. And I think you could start to see Opie just didn't have the numbers that Hayden had. Hayden was bringing in guys constantly rotating. Opie guys were playing both ways. And Opie didn't have anyone to battle Joe Otting. Joe Otting was in the backfield every single play, just making every single tackle. It was a sight to see, but Opie played him tough. And Opie's one of those teams where they're going to run the ball and it'll take them 4 downs to get a first down, but they're going to get that first down. So I think their first drive lasted 6 or 7 minutes. It was crazy. At one point, I thought I was going to send a tweet out, be like 0-0 at the end of the first. Hayden hasn't even got the ball. Like, because Opie was just going, and I thought Opie was really going to score. And then they stopped Hayden, made him punt. I was like, this is going to be a really, really good game. But yeah, as I said, eventually it looked like Hayden just had the legs on him, and Opie, shout out to Opie. Opie played him tough, and you can't really complain about an effort like that when you're just outmanned, really. So I think it's not a knock on Hayden at all. Opie, I think it's just a praise on Opie and how good they can be and how dominant they have been in 1A. So yeah.
Yeah,
Hayden,
they've been extremely dominant for a long time. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it was um Opie's been powerhouse forever. Hayden's got a really quality, top tier 3A team this year. I think that they're going to be at the top of the board when it's all said and done. And Opie's just, like you said, they didn't have guys to kind of just fill in because of how small the team is. And that's 21-7. That's a great game too. That's a great game to attend and watch. After all of the 60s and the 70s,
yeah,
50s and the 40s, it's like, oh wow, I love defense. So it's like, oh, that's awesome. And you get, speaking of defense, JC Cummings and Dylan Foster had those interceptions, which was awesome to hear about. But yeah, the rare 21-7 game in the prep scene this week. I dig it. I like it a lot. But yeah, shout out to Opie. Great win by Hayden, and Hayden plays Silver Lake next week, so that should be in Silver Lake. So that should be a really, really fun match. I'm looking forward to that one.
So then next up is probably, I would say, the game of the week with Highland Park. We both got the opportunity to attend this game, so we have a lot to break down. But Highland Park beat Winedot 60-47 to break their 65-game losing streak. I'm sure you guys saw it all over Twitter, all over the news. That was probably the news of the day, and it was just huge. And someone I want to shout out, if you didn't see my Twitter highlights that I posted, Trey Richardson, man, that dude is the fastest high school player, one of the fastest football players I have ever seen strap him up. He scored 6 touchdowns. He only touched the ball 14 times. He had a passing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and 4 rushing touchdowns. And actually, towards the end of the game, they were down on like the 10-yard line, and they gave it to Trey Richardson, scored a touchdown, flag, take it back. Give it to Trey Richardson, scored a touchdown, flag, take it back. So he scored 3 touchdowns in what seemed like 3 plays because his flags kept taking it back. But Trey Richardson is going to take this Highland Park team to their highest mark they've been at in a while. I think they need to really get some tackling and defensive issues figured out because before the end of the game where they were getting some stops and stuff like that, it was really just back and forth. It was like Winedot just drive it down, score a touchdown, give it back to Highland Park, give it to Trey Richardson, score a touchdown. And it was just back and forth the whole time. Eventually, Highland Park did find some defense, find some light and eventually started making some stops en route to a 13-point win. So huge news that Highland Park won, and props to them, props to coach, and props to Trey Richardson, who I had the chance to interview after the game. But yeah, I'll let Isaac take this over because I'm sure he has a lot to say too.
Can you see this? Oh
Yeah.
God, backwards. But that says 17.230769. Trey Richardson averaged 17.2 yards a carry on the ground. He averaged 17 yards per carry. Like I feel like the other day it was you leave that guy in open space, it's a wrap. You have 6 Winedot players surrounding Trey Richardson at the 20-yard at the Highland Park 20-yard line. He'll rush for 80 yards. It's a wrap. You throw 9 more guys at him. It's a wrap. You throw the coaching staff. You throw the entire, you throw the freshmen in there. You throw the managers. The other day, I was just like, I don't know. I don't know what you can do to stop this guy.
Winedot did not have an answer. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then he threw it like Patrick Mahomes. He just threw one pass, just one pass, one completion, one pass for 44 yards. It was a touchdown. He looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the city doing that. But then the receiving, all he needed was one catch for 51 yards and a touchdown. I don't know what else I could, it was just, if you haven't watched Trey Richardson play 4 quarters of football, you're not a football fan. I'm just kidding. But you need to go see this guy play. He's insane. But that was kind of the make or break of the game. Adrian Drew Gregory also had an amazing game. He had a 95-yard pick six. He also had a pretty good day on the ground as well. He 2 receptions for 49 yards. It was just 2 explosive plays. There was just touchdowns left and right. It just seems like the touchdowns just, it was 19-16 at the end of the first, and then in the third quarter, 16-14. It was just touchdowns left and right. And 8 years, it took Highland Park 8 years to get that win, and you could tell it was huge. It was groundbreaking. It was, this win could change our entire program. They haven't started 1-0 in a very, very long time. So I think Friday night was probably one of the biggest nights in Scott's football program's history. And I'm glad I was there to see it. And Trey Richardson's a bad man, dude.
He's a bad man. I asked him after the game. I was like, "So you showed your speed out there. Is there anyone faster than you in the state?" And he's like, "Absolutely not." He's like,
Nope.
It's like, no one's keeping up with me. Which, I mean,
yeah,
from what I saw, that's probably true. But yeah, super excited for Highland Park for the rest of the year, and super excited to see what Trey Richardson can do. But moving on to another streak that got busted. Roswell surprisingly lost to St. Mary's 20-13, ending their 26-game win streak over 2 years. Wish I could have been at this game. This has just seemed like a defensive battle. And yeah, I think it just proves that Roswell did lose a lot, and we knew Roswell lost a lot. But also St. Mary's is a good team, so I wouldn't be taking a lot from that. I think Roswell can still be a very, very high contender in the 2A regard. We're just gonna have to see what they can do the rest of the year against some other good teams. But yeah, what do you got for Roswell?
Yeah, it's they haven't lost in 26. They won 26 games in a row, and it's been a while since they've been in the L column. But I think it was a good test for them. Like you mentioned, St. Mary's, terrific team. I think St. Mary's can make a lot of noise this year. Most of these teams that were in our county or in the city had all really, really stiff competition this week. But I think Rossville, it's one game, and just kind of have to forget, take the lessons that you can from that game, and move on. I think that's the one thing that Rossville hasn't been able to do in forever, is to fully digest a loss. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what they look like in week 2 after they watched the film, they make corrections, and 20-13 is a close game. But Roswell's been such a high-powered offense forever, but St. Mary's has a heck of a defense too. So I think that if Roswell could really take those lessons and be there, just absolutely, just be Rossville. I think they will. I think they'll figure it out. They're too good of a program to let this win haunt them forever. But like, it was probably a really tough loss for those guys, I'm assuming, because it's just been so long since they've lost. And
Yeah.
I think I've been in that situation before where it's like, are we failures? Are we letting everybody down? It's the pressure's on us now. So if Rossville's got the right leadership to kind of guide them into a successful direction, which I think they're on track with.
Yeah, not too worried about Rossville this year. They've proven that they can contend every year. So Seaman played Topeka West, and Seaman came out on top 58-14. Isaac was at this game, so I'll just let Isaac take care of this.
It was all about the big boys. It was all about the front five that night. 270 yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns before the halftime break. They dominated. Sean Miller, Logan Cox and crew, they went to work. Flapjacks, pancakes, knockdowns, whatever you want to call it. There was a plentiful amount. It was 8 trips to IHOP. It was insane. It was insane. It was an impressive showing from that offense, and that spread offense that we're accustomed to with Seaman last year. It's like they're going to throw all the time, but nope, they did not. They just ran the ball 43 times for 376 yards and 5-6 touchdowns on the ground. It was crazy. We saw new quarterback at the helm. Camden Barta had kind of made his mark last year, his senior year, and now we got a new quarterback in Max Huston. And Huston, he threw the ball 5 times, completed 3 of them for 73 yards. That was impressive, but I was more impressed of his dual threat ability, because he found his way to get into open space quite a bit, and he was super. He showed how dynamic he was, and Max had a really good night. But the kind of the stars of the show was the 3-headed monster in the backfield with Bryson Vaughter, Jack Bloom and Jackson Thomas, who had just you name it, how many yards they had. But Bryson Vaughter, dog. He just a big dude. He's a big dude, but even bigger dude is Jackson Thomas, 6'3", 230, who came from the offensive line. He was an offensive lineman. Now he's running the ball. Like, that is an offensive lineman's dream. It's their dream to run the football. And now he's living his dreams. He's living his best life. I'm happy for Jackson Thomas, but also dog. But Jackson Thomas had an insanely powerful display. So did Vaughter and Bloom both. There was times where Vaughter had 3 or 4 guys wrapped up on him, and he just stiff arm, juke, just shoved his elbow in him, and he was gone. And Thomas did the same thing. It was just the yards after contact was the most impressive part of the game for me. So the run game, no concerns at all now that we've seen what we needed. And Topeka West, credit to them. Malachi Berg's one of the top quarterbacks, not even just in the city, but in the whole state. Vaughter made some just jaw-dropping throws. There was his first touchdown of the day. He dropped back. He was under pressure. He's being chased by 2 Vikings, and he jumped off his back foot he threw it across his body and was able to just throw it the tightest spiral in the end zone while off his back foot, while there's 2 Vikings in his face, and he was able just to zing it across. And I was like, whew, that's a good throw. And he did that like 4 or 5 times. I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. So I think Topeka West going forward have a lot to be excited about. And defensively, the star of the night was Kyrese Robinson. He played for Topeka West. He was great. Number 55, he had an interception, didn't really miss a lot of tackles, and he had some TFLs, and Topeka West is getting there, man. They're getting there. Seaman just had the long plays, long touchdowns early. And if you can run the football with three gigantic human beings in the backfield, it's going to wear down a defense. And I think that Seaman kind of had the upper hand early. Topeka West just got down too quick and couldn't recover after that.
So then moving on to Silver Lake and Riley County. Oh, no, shoot. Shawnee Heights. So moving on to Shawnee Heights. Shawnee Heights lost to Piper 20-21. Honestly, I don't know what to think of this because I don't know a whole lot about Piper's football program. But Shawnee Heights played them tough. It's tough to lose a close game like that, especially with a lot of young guys. But I think since I do have a lot of young guys, I think that is a building block that you can build off of and look forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, and Piper is a great team as well. This is their first year in the United Kansas Conference, as is a few other teams, but Piper's got K-State committed on the offensive line. They have a ton of senior leadership, a returning. They got a new quarterback at the helm, but he's been in the system for a while. And my former high school head football coach is on that coaching staff, so shout out Piper. But Shawnee Heights did keep it close. Shawnee Heights has a young team, but I expect Piper to be one of the top teams in the state this year. But kind of with some other teams, it's just a lot of learning to do. It's week 1 of the season, and I think for Shawnee Heights, it's Jason Swift's been in that program forever. He knows how to win and he knows how to handle his losses. So I think Shawnee Heights going forward, I think it's going to be just fine. That's one of the teams I'm pretty confident in. They got a young group, but I think that going forward, I think they know how to win, and I think kind of like Roswell, it's like you can tell the directions going forward. And with Shawnee Heights, it's definitely going forward, and they're a successful program, and just kind of have to take your losses when you can and move on from them. And I think Shawnee Heights will do that.
Yeah, now moving on to Silver Lake. Silver Lake beat Riley County, who was a tough team, 28-21. Once again, we weren't at the game, so I wish I could have been. This looks like a really good game. So Silver Lake, new coaching staff, gets their first win on the books. So excited for them. And Riley County is a tough team, so that definitely wasn't an easy win for Pegram to get, especially week 1. But excited to see what Silver Lake can do next week against Hayden. But then the rest of the year as well. Excited to watch Silver Lake.
Yeah, and in Riley County, is that's a winning tradition, like Silver Lake and Riley County and Rossville. And you think about some of those schools that just those small schools that love football. And Riley County is one of those schools. And last year they graduated 9 starters offensively and 9 defensively. So they had 2 starters this year, but it's a lot of sophomores on that Riley County team. And there's a lot of young guys on Silver Lake too. So I think it's two programs that are that know how to win and that can slug it out. And you could throw anybody out there. You could throw a kid who's 5'2" that just does math all day and picks his booger. And he could probably run for 120 yards. So it's just I think that would have been a good game to watch, and I'm a little jealous that I didn't get to watch it. But it's I think Silver Lake and Riley County, that those are going to be 2 great teams again, even without the numbers that Riley County used to have. But great win for Silver Lake to start out the year, and great first win for Logan Pegram and the crew to kind of kickstart their coaching career with Silver Lake.
Yeah, for sure. So now moving on to Topeka High, who had a very tough game on Saturday afternoon. Lost to Mays 78-7. Avery Johnson, the K-State commit for Mays, finished with something popped up on my screen.
That's all right.
Finished with 187 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 76 rushing yards, and a touchdown. But Isaac had the opportunity to be at the game, so I'll let him take it away from here.
Yeah, it was it was the Avery Johnson show. It was pretty clear that he's different, man. He's different. He had 4 touchdowns in the first quarter. It took him 1 minute and 36 seconds to score on the opening drive of the game, 46-yard touchdown pass, and then 58-yard rushing touchdown, and then a 47-yard passing touchdown. It was just like, it was just, his drives were quick and easy. And it's not a discredit to Topeka High by any means, because Maize as a team itself is stacked. It is stacked from top to bottom. That offensive line, Maulers, the defensive line, always get to the quarterback. They sacked Peyton Wheat quite a bit and got to him and got in the backfield quite a bit. The receivers, 3 or 4 guys that, you know, they could start on any team in the entire state and have great production. And I think that Maize looked unbelievably good. It wasn't a discredit to Topeka High by any means, because Maize was they're just ready to play, because this is a state caliber team. I predicted before the year that Maize is going to win the state championship, but 78-7 is not the score. It's not necessarily the score you want to see. 59 zip at half. And then Avery Johnson left halfway through the second quarter. So that kind of, yeah. So Avery Johnson left halfway through the second quarter. And he's ridiculous. He, as a Cats fan, yeah, all right, let's go. But I talked to Avery after the game too, and extremely humble guy. He said he had a lot to refine from the summer going forward. I'm like, okay. Okay, yeah. Look like you struggled out there today, that's for sure. You 4 touchdowns in the first quarter. Do better. Have 7. But Topeka High, man, it's Peyton Wheat had some great throws yesterday. Like I mentioned earlier, Maize was in Maize's defensive line and backers. The linebackers from Maize really impressed me the most too. They just delayed blitz quite a bit, and then they were just so fast. They just got back there whenever they wanted to. But there was a play that really stuck out to me. Peyton Wheat had a 26-yard pass that was completed yesterday. It was kind of similar to Malachi Berg's. He was kind of out of the pocket scrambling, and he was near the sideline. He saw an open receiver in the distance and just, you know, off the back foot chucked it, and then just got absolutely laid out by 2 guys. But the pass worked. It was a 26-yard gain. That was against the Maize starters, and that was in the first quarter. In the third quarter, Maize put their backups in, but Carlos Kelly, I mean, he was not pleased by any means. He was not happy, and he acknowledged that this year might be a little difficult because the schedule that Topeka High has is absolutely brutal. They got to travel a lot to get extremely tough teams. Topeka High just did not get the luck of the draw this year, and it didn't help that their number one guy, their star BJ Kennedy, was hurt yesterday. He was out for the game with a foot injury. It was tough going for Topeka High yesterday. I don't. Deshaun Carter and Tavion Williams for Maize also had like 4 combined touchdowns on the ground too. It was just, if you see Avery Johnson in the backfield, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like he's either gonna break off for a 58-yard rushing touchdown, or he's gonna throw a 47-yard touchdown with ease. And he's throwing 50-yarders at warmups. I'm like, God, this guy, this guy. Yeah, it was. As a K-State fan, I'm happy. As a preps coverer of the Shawnee County area, it wasn't pretty, but
tough game to watch.
That is a good lesson right out of the gate. Like, okay, well, it can't get any worse. It cannot get like 78-7. It's like, nope, can't get worse than that. Avery Johnson absolutely just, cooked everybody. So it wasn't just Topeka High. I feel like this is just going to be the theme of May's year in general. But yeah, 78-7, not good. Not good by any means.
Especially when T High had a lot of young guys, and they are building back that program that was so successful for so many years. There's going to be some bumps, and this was definitely a big bump. So moving on to Washburn Rural, who had a great win over Wichita East, 49-42. They were down by double digits at one point, I believe, came back to win that game. And as I mentioned in last episode, Washburn Rural is very talented. They are one of my favorite teams in the city to watch. So I'm excited to see what Washburn Rural can do the rest of the year.
Yeah, defensively, we talked on our last episode on the preview how I thought Washburn Rural's defense could be probably the best. It could be the best in Class 6A. Their defense is pretty special, and then that defense and those summer workouts and everything paid off at the very end of the game, where the Aces were Wichita East was at the 2-yard line, and Washburn Rural's defense made a goal line stop, and that was the victory. That paid off to be the victory. And Wichita East is an extremely tough opponent, and then you open up your season on the road, all the way in Wichita. There was a lot stacked up against Washburn Rural, but Washburn Rural's electric offense, Branton DeWeese, just throwing the rock around, like he usually does, and then defensively, that defensive unit's special, and they proved that, and the defense won them. I mean, 49 points is a lot of points, but I think the defense won them that game in the end. So I'm excited to see what Washburn Rural's defense can do the rest of the way. They started off with an extremely high quality opponent, just kind of like everybody else did, and pretty good 1-0 start for the Junior Blues. I'm pretty pleased with the way that ended for them.
Yeah, so tail of the tape of these games was definitely offense, as you had 82 points scored, 60 points scored, 58 points scored, 78 points scored, 49 points scored. So definitely some high-powered offense this week and some very, very entertaining games. But that's all we have for the week. So we're going to be back next week with another episode of Top Sports News. And before we go, I want to mention and I want to wish Isaac Deer a happy birthday. We are recording this on Sunday, and it is his birthday. So you're probably seeing it a day later, obviously, but still go wish him a happy birthday, happy late birthday. Everything he does for the community doesn't go unnoticed. So
thanks, man. You're the best. Love that guy. I love Caleb. He's great.
So yeah, remember to like this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell. We will be back every Monday. Yeah, so enjoy the content and thanks for watching.